Hey yo, welcome back to another review, this time of Rocky 3, which has always been one of my all-time favorite Stallone films, and one of my favorite Rocky films in the franchise. Part of it might be because it technically was the first one I saw, which is interesting, because the first Rocky film I saw was not the first one, it was Rocky 3. It's like I bought the franchise out of order. I bought 3 and 4, and then I got like the first film for Christmas from my mom. And I think I also got like Rocky 2 later, and then I bought Rocky 5 myself later down the road. So I really the first Rocky film I ever saw was Rocky 3, and then the second one I ever saw was Rocky 4. So there might be a little bit of, certain memories that I have associated with these films. It might be influencing my opinions on them a little bit, but I still love Rocky 3. I think honestly, it seems like Rocky 2 over the years, I did say it was underrated because I do feel it's underrated, but at the same time, I think this film is even more underrated than Rocky 2 because Rocky 2 seems to be getting it's getting delayed praise from people. Rocky 3 and definitely Rocky 4, which I'll get into when I review that, are films that are getting like delayed disdain, which is really interesting. I really don't get it. I think a lot of people think this is where the franchise jumped the shark, and to each their own. I just don't agree with that. But I'm totally fine with people that feel that that's when the franchise jumped the shark because it became less realistic. But like I said before in my other reviews so far, I never thought this franchise was that realistic to begin with, so it didn't really bug me that much. What I really like about Rocky 3 is that it's fast paced. It's fast paced, it's to the point, it's quick, and even the rematch, the rematch between Clubber and Rocky is fast paced, furious, and in a total adrenaline rush, and it's my favorite fight of the franchise because of that. It's not technically wise or technique wise the best of the franchise, but like Rocky 2, but it gets my blood pumping more than any other fight in the franchise. It's just there's so many moments in the fight that I'm just like, oh, it just makes me want to get up and cheer, and it's a great crowd pleaser. It's an excellent fight. It's an underrated fight in a lot of ways because I know a lot of people point to the Rocky 4 fight with the montages, or the fight in Rocky 2, or in Rocky 3, the fight between him and Clubber at the end seems to kind of, pretty way down on people's lists. And for me personally, it's always been up there because there's no other fight in the franchise that gets me just so pumped up like that fight does. And like every punch from Clubber is just intense. And just you can feel it. And the same thing happens too with Drago, which is another fight I really like, and I'll get to that when I talk about Rocky 4. But it's kind of hard for me to talk about Rocky 3 and not talk about Rocky 4 because they are kind of connected in some ways. And, because my memories are of watching Rocky 3 and 4 back to back a bunch of times when I was growing up. And these were films that really helped me get through a lot of tough times in my life, bullies at school that gave me the confidence to stand up for myself. And I will always have a special place in my heart for Rocky 3 and a little bit for Rocky 4 for doing that. Anyway, Rocky 3 is a film that was released in 1982. Stallone intended this to be the last film in the franchise, but it was a hit, so he decided, you can't really stop making these. And I think his decision to do crap like Rhinestone and Staying Alive also forced him to do Rocky 4 because his career was literally in the shitter because of that. So, yeah, the film's directed by Sylvester Stallone. He also writes the screenplay. If Bill Conti returns to do the score, there's nothing really. It's the same score. It's a great score. Gonna fly now, but it doesn't seem like there's anything really new that Conti adds to the score. For me personally, it's good. It's great. It's a good score. It's a classic score. Gonna fly now, and some of the typical Rocky themes, but there's a little bit here and there. Like I mean, there's like a few things like the kind of the kind of bits of score that show up when Rocky is pretty much giving up on things. He just decides to give up when he's racing Apollo on the beach. I mean, that's a pretty good sequence. That's a pretty good bit of music. But the most memorable thing about the film, in terms music wise, is not really Bill Conti's score. It's Survivor's super hit song "Eye of the Tiger," which was really nice. That song's always awesome. I mean, you get to see a little bit of the Rocky 2 fight in the beginning, and then right after that, you go into dun 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 dun. Dun, 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 dun. It's just, I mean, it's just an awesome way to open up this film with Eye of the Tiger, great montage showing Rocky's rise to fame as the champion, and it's really well edited and well. It just every beat of the song seems to fit really well with the footage that's on the screen, which is really nice to see. Cinematography by Bill Butler is also pretty solid, pretty effective. Edited by Mark Warner and Don Zimmerman. Did a good job editing the film. The film is very taut. It's very taut, very tightly paced, tightly wound, like a powder keg. It's only 100 minutes long with the end credits. I mean, without the end credits, it's like an hour and a half or around that, or like a little bit over an hour and a half. Um, the movie is a huge hit. It made $270 million on a pretty, I think it wasn't that really that big of a budget. Um, and interesting about Eye of the Tiger is that there was a song called You're the Best, which was performed by Joe Esposito, that was recorded for the film, but Stallone rejected it in favor of Survivor's Eye of the Tiger. And You're the Best was later used in The Karate Kid, which came out 2 years after Rocky 3. So the song that You're the best around, no one's ever gonna take you down. So it's interesting. Like, I like that song, but I gotta be honest, I'm with Sly. I think Eye of the Tiger is just works so much better with this film. Um, there's a lot of stuff about, this film that I really enjoy. And just like with all of the other films, Stallone added in parts of his own life into the script. And pretty much what he did, he incorporated uh, the unreal aspects of Rocky's life in the script. How out of touch he'd become with normality, with his roots. Uh, Stallone channeled his own experience with fame because he was at the height of his fame right at this moment, and much of the over-the-top celebrity exposure experienced by Rocky was based on experiences Stallone that had himself. So it becomes I know a lot of people they view this film as like a narcissistic movie. That's the point. Stallone wrote the film and wrote Rocky as sort of this character who's got all this money now and all of this accolades, and he's a champion, and he's doing all of these advertisements and all of this, and he's kind of letting it go to his head. He's forgotten his roots, and the fact that Mickey handpicked these fighters that really weren't the best in the world, really just gave him this false sense of security. And so it's an interesting thing to see. It's actually, there's a little bit of meta aspects to this film, like what Stallone did. He added a little bit of his own personal experience with his own life and his own experiences with fame and how he dealt with it, and then he incorporated them into this movie, and it has this very surreal feel in the beginning of the movie with the montage, and Paulie is just can't stand this. He can't stand seeing Rocky just being bigger than life. And that's, of course, where he throws his bottle and smashes the pinball machine, which actually was a real pinball machine. There were all these memorabilia like Rocky cups and all this other stuff, and they're actually real. Which so it just adds to this sort of thing where, well, this stuff actually existed. Like, there was this Rocky mania. It was something that was happening. And also, I like this little touch that was used in later films in the franchise as well, like Rocky 5, But Rocky 3 was the first time you saw it, where you heard Bill Conti's iconic theme, Gonna Fly Now, but you heard it in the world of the Rocky franchise. You heard it in that reality, which had which really gave the film this very it gave it a surreal, dreamlike quality. It was almost like the film was being completely total meta. It was kind of meta in the way that it was handling all this stuff with the Rocky memorabilia and the Rocky statue, which is actually a real statue, and the 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 marching band playing "Gonna Fly Now," and it's like that's Rocky's theme. I guess they decided it's Rocky's theme in the movie, and so it's also Rocky's theme in his reality, which I always thought was a really interesting choice. Now, Mr. T, who I thought was a perfect casting choice as Clubber Lang, he wasn't really originally the first casting choice. Ernie Shavers was initially the favorite to land the role of Clubber Lang, and according to Shavers, Sylvester Stallone called him and told him the role was his once they got a formal audition out of the way. The audition was set up with Shavers and Stallone sparring. As Shavers tells it, Stallone kept goading him not to hold back and to hit him with everything he had, but Shavers was reluctant to do so. And eventually, after Stallone began to hit him, Shavers lost his temper and punched him under the ribs, doubling Stallone over. Stallone was helped out of the ring without saying a word, and according to Shavers, he never heard from Stallone again. Interestingly, though, the story has never been corroborated by anyone involved with the film. So this could be just a bunch of conjecture, but I thought it was interesting enough to at least mention it. As you also know, Hulk Hogan has a cameo in this film as Thunderlips, the wrestling champion. And Hulk Hogan, this just being in this movie caused him a lot of grief. Vince McMahon and Senior and Vince McMahon did not want him to be in this movie, and they basically said if you decide to be in Rocky 3, you're losing your job. And so Hulk Hogan was fired from the WWF and from wherever he was. I think he was working for the WWF at the time. He was fired because he decided to be in this film. It wasn't until I think after this film's release that, and then Vince McMahon Sr. and Vince McMahon realized that Hulk Hogan was pretty popular. He was a bit, people liked him in this movie. He had exposure that he would not have had if he did not agree to be in the film. And so that's kind of the reason why Hulkamania sort of exists. And a lot, if you think about it, Hulk Hogan got so much more exposure being in Rocky 3 than he did doing his wrestling, a little bit of his early wrestling with the WWF. So because of Rocky 3 and how popular Hulk Hogan's cameo was, the WWF had to get him back. And by when they got him back, he already had this exposure, and then they decided to run with it, and the rest is history. And Hulkamania was born. So I think that's interesting. I really, and I know a lot of people probably wouldn't point to Rocky 3 being a very pivotal moment in Hulkamania, but it really is. If you think about it, I mean, it does credit it was a dividing force between the WWF and Hulk Hogan. He lost his job because of being in this movie, but then because he was in this movie, he just reached an entirely different audience, and now people were like really curious about this Hulk Hogan guy, and now WWF had no choice but to bring him back, and then to promote him as much as they possibly could. And they also brought in Mr. T. Why not? Why not? Why wouldn't you do that? So, so yeah, of course, the film brings back other cast members other than just the newcomers of Mr. T and Hulk Hogan. Yeah, Sylvester Stallone, of course, comes back as Rocky. I liked his performance in this because I've loved his performance in all of the films minus Rocky 5, and I'll get to that soon enough. But and Rocky, he played that role really well of the punch drunk boxer. He was living on the streets, kind of like I said, he was an idiot savant, and Stallone really did a good job with that performance. As the series went on, I like how Stallone evolved the character, how he became a little bit smarter, and he still maintained his personality, but he became a little, he wasn't as dumb or as I wouldn't even say dumb. That's not really the best word, but I mean, trying to think of the right word for it. Like he wasn't as hard-headed, or it wasn't as thick in the head. He wasn't any. He felt like he was more of a normal person. He just had some, different way of talking to people, so a different way of communicating with people. Um, so, and I like how Stallone evolved the character that way. And I love how this film was the first film in the franchise to bring the boxing to the forefront. Rocky 2 was gradually starting to do that, but it also had a lot to do with the drama. And it worked in Rocky 2, the drama, but by the time you got to Rocky 3, there really wasn't much else that you could do drama-wise, but the film still managed to get something going with Rocky losing his heart because Mickey died and he got beat up horribly by Clubber, he lost his title, and he was afraid for the first time in his life, and Apollo comes in, who was once his enemy, and decides to help him get the Eye of the Tiger back and find a way for him to get it back. And because he didn't have it when he fought Clubber, because he lost it because he was fighting all these opponents that were handpicked, and he didn't believe in himself anymore. And through the combined efforts of Apollo and his wife, he was able to get his faith in himself and his abilities back to where they once were when he first fought Apollo. And I also like how they make it so Apollo trains Rocky and makes Rocky quicker, faster, and basically molds Rocky similar to himself, and really creates a complete different way of fighting that Clubber is just not prepared for. He loses like weight. He shows up like 191 pounds in heavyweight fight, and it just adds a whole different dynamic. The film still had drama, but it wasn't stretched out to a really extreme length. And by the time in the third movie, you really couldn't do that anyway. The first two films were both 119 minutes long. Both of them had a lot of long parts of the movie that didn't had nothing to do with boxing, and were just drama building up Adrian and Rocky's relationship, dealing with this and that and so forth. And with Rocky 3, they wisely said, we're gonna try to keep that to a minimum. Because by the time you get to the third film, there's a reason why you don't have drama franchises. You might have two films if you're lucky, but you don't have like six of them. Because there's only so much you can do with the drama before it does become stale. With the boxing angle, at least there was stuff that he could tweak around, do something different with it, like make Rocky lose weight, make him become a faster fighter, make him become more like Apollo in order to tire out Clubber Lang, in order to beat him. Um, so at least you had that aspect. But it's not like it completely forgot the drama. So, I mean, that's the thing. It didn't completely forget the drama. It just, Rocky 3 decided, okay, we're going to make an entertaining sequel. We're going to have a fun fight. We're going to have Rocky lose his first fight since he lost his fights, before he even got the shot at the title against Apollo in the first film. And we're going to make it, going to have him lose his ability and his faith in himself. Then he's going to get it back from an unlikely source. You're going to have a great scene between him and Adrian, where Adrian, he finally releases his feelings, and Adrian lets him know that it's okay if you lose. Yeah, if you lose, but at least you're losing when you're not afraid. And I know you can do without fear. At least you lose without fear, and I know you can live with that. And Talia Shire was great in that sequence, and so was Stallone. And so, of course, you get the typical training montages and all that kind of stuff, and fun, a lot of fun stuff, and interesting stuff too, because Apollo takes Rocky and Adrian and Paulie to where he grew up, where he trained in California, in L.A. So it's a change of location for the training. It's a change of pace. It's a change of trainer. It's coming off of a the first time he's ever lost the title, and then he also loses Mickey, and that's a really tough scene to watch. Stallone did a phenomenal job with that sequence when Mickey's dying, and then once Mickey dies, Stallone does an amazing show of emotion that is very, very realistic. And I don't understand people making. There are some people out there who make fun of that scene and that performance, and I don't get it. It was a very heartfelt, heart-wrenching show of emotion that came straight from Stallone's heart, and it's hard for me to watch because I can't help but cry along with him because Mickey's been a character that I'd grown to love and appreciate and really enjoy throughout the franchise, and to see him pass away was just, it sucks. It's sad. But also at the same time, it added much needed drama to the film because okay, now there's the stakes are now the stakes are high. It's people die in this franchise now. It's not just okay, it's not just a fairy tale. People die. And it's it just thinking about Mickey dying is just sad. I mean, I can't really say anything else about it. It's just sad. Um, but yeah, I think the story by Stallone, I think the screenplay, I thought was actually really good. I thought he did a good job with it. He still had dramatic moments like Mickey's death and so forth, like I've been talking about, but it still also felt like a Rocky movie, and it felt like it was a different sort of take on it. And it was very refreshing to see Rocky get a little bit cocky and then lose the fight, and then also lose Mickey, and then see him deal with his own inner demons for a little bit, and then have Apollo come in and try to bring him back. And bring back the Eye of the Tiger, and then still can't do it because he's afraid. Because that was nice to see too, because you normally don't see Rocky being afraid of anything, and he's afraid of Clubber, he's afraid of losing, and he just doesn't want to have it in him anymore. And then his wife, who's been his rock, she comes in and is the one that proves to him and shows him that you don't have to be afraid anymore. Just go out there and do the best you can, pretty much. But you have to try. And if you want to quit, that's what you want to do, fine. But if you're doing it because you're afraid, I don't think that's right. And I know that's not, and I know that's not you. So it was just a great exchange between husband and wife, and two great actors, Sylvester Stallone and Talia Shire. And Paulie was also pretty likable in this. Like as the franchise went on, like he became more likable. Like he was rough around. He's still rough around the edges, but he was more likable. It became kind of the franchise's comic relief, which honestly didn't mind. It was a nice change of pace. And then Clubber Lang is a very iconic, villain. It was nice to see him. It was nice to see a boxer opponent for Rocky who was just straight up, just I want to destroy Rocky. None of this. I'm putting on a show, or I want to prove to the world that I still have it and I'm still the champ. Not just a hungry, up and coming, raw boxer, much like Rocky was when he first got his shot at Apollo, and but even more brash and abrasive, and there's just memorable lines of dialogue like, "What's your prediction for this fight, Clubber? Pain," stuff like that. I'm gonna crucify him. There's a lot of fun stuff, and calls out, Rocky when he's thinking about retiring when at the statue unveiling ceremony, and starts, basically what he does is starts coming on to Adrian. It's like, you want a real woman, hey, if you want a real man, a real woman, if you want a real man. I'm getting confused with Windows, which Talia Shire was in, where she played a lesbian. It's a real movie. It is. Uh, I think she was. I could be wrong. Maybe I just made that up because that's what I thought it was. It was about. But anyway, you want yourself a real man, then you want to see a real man, then come by my apartment tonight. And then Rocky's not going to take any of that. He's like, you want it, you got it. You want this fight, you got it. I'll fight you anyone, anytime, anywhere. And so Rocky loses, and then he has to get, they have the tiger back, he does, trains, and then you have this awesome fight, which I love, where Rocky comes out with the red, white, and blue trunks that Apollo used to have, and decided to give to Rocky for the fight, and Apollo Creed is ready to get into blows with Clubber before the fight even starts, because Clubber's just a brash, abrasive asshole, pretty much. He's just straight up an asshole. Mr. T in this is just an asshole. And of course, before, I mean, you had the Thunder Lips sort of stuff with the wrestling and stuff like that, which was fun to see as well. It just added this circus atmosphere that was going on with the whole franchise with Rocky at the time before he even fought Clubber the first time. He just lost track of reality. He's fighting a wrestler for charity. He's getting ready for the what could basically be the last fight of his career, and he's like training in some hotel room with people, mariachi band playing the Rocky theme, and fucking bubbles everywhere, and groupies, and all this kind of stuff. And even Mickey's like, "How the hell can you train in a place like this?" And then of course Rocky loses. Not only because he lost, Mickey was dying and his mind was off. His mind wasn't on the fight. I think he would have lost anyway because, like Apollo said, he lost the Eye of the Tiger. So he gets it back, gets the rematch, and I just love it when he's just antagonizing Clubber Lang. Clubber looks like he's getting the upper hand, just freaking just hammering Rocky with rights and lefts early in the fight, and then Rocky just starts getting under Clubber's skin. And even Apollo's like, "What are you doing? Balboa, what are you doing? Don't stand toe to toe with him. Don't do, you know." And Apollo's like, "Nah, nah, 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 nah. He's getting mad." And pretty much Rocky is, trying to tell Apollo, "It's strategy. It's strategy. Don't worry about it. I got it." And then I just love it how, Rocky just antagonizes Clubber. It's just a crowd pleasing moment. He's like, "You ain't so bad. You ain't so bad. You ain't nothing. Come on. Come on. Hit me. Hit me. Come on. My mother hits on to that. Come on. Hit me." It's just like, come on. And even he's just, what he's doing is he's, in a way, kind of doing the rope-a-dope and also tiring out Clubber. And even his trainer's like, "Don't waste your punches." And he's just antagonizing Clubber and is working to perfection. And he's just going, "Ah! Ah! Ah!" He's wasting all of his punches, just trying to destroy Rocky with like one hit. And Rocky's taking the punishment. And then Rocky delivers it. Then he starts to deliver the punishment. And just a crowd pleasing moment. I love it. Where he just goes boom, 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 hitting Clubber in the body, hitting him in the body, hitting him in the body. Then just goes, and I love this series, just this one shot where Clubber's dazed and Rocky just hitting him right in the face like 3 times in a row, sending him flying back into the ropes. And then he goes back into the body, and then just is lifting him off the floor, off the canvas with body shots, and then boom, just knocks his ass on the ground. And then of course, Clubber's counted out. He's lost the fight. Rocky's the champ again. You hear Bill Conti's iconic music. He runs around on the canvas and falls on his knees. He can't believe it. It's awesome. I love it. It's total euphoria, and I'm just cheering and I'm standing up, and it's great. Um, and the final shot is pretty much with Rocky hugging his wife, and Paulie's around him. He's got the title, and he lifts one fist up, and there we go. And then, I mean, that's the final shot of that fight. But the final shot of the movie is the favor that Apollo asked him. Apollo was asking Rocky for a favor like the entire movie. He's like, "I'll help train you, but you got to do me a favor." And the favor is, I want to get back in the ring with you. And they get back in the ring at Mick's gym. And this is an iconic scene for me. Like, I always remember it, where it's like, "Hey Apollo, you gonna ring the bell? Ding ding." no, come on, Apollo, come on, Apollo, and even Apollo's like, come on, Rocky, you don't want any of this, you don't want none of this, come on, and they swing punches, they both collide, freeze frame, and then it's like this like amazing painting, and then that's the end of the movie, and then I think Eye of the Tiger plays, I think, at the end. Um, Awesome movie. I love Rocky 3. I really do. I love it. It's just so entertaining. It's when the franchise decided to be more it decided to be entertaining versus more of a drama, serious drama with boxing elements. This is when the franchise decided, okay, we're gonna just deliver some good straight up entertainment. And it's Rocky 3 is, for me, it's always gonna be one of my favorites. It's gonna be it. I mean, for me personally, I don't find anything wrong with it. There's like a few little nitpicks, but they don't bother me. It's stuff that just adds to the film's charm. Like for example, when Mr. T wins the title, he's all like, "I'm the best in the world." That was kind of funny. It's like, what are you, constipated? Like, I'm constipated. I mean, but it's just part of the film's charm. It just doesn't bother me at all. Doesn't affect my enjoyment of the movie. I know the fight at the end, Rocky doesn't get that messed up, but it doesn't bother me because the fight's so much fun to watch and it's such an adrenaline rush. It doesn't bug me at all. I think, and even Paul Creed himself, Carl Weathers, likes this movie. He thinks it's his favorite because he thinks it really captures the character of Apollo really well. Um, the critics weren't that impressed with it because like I said, it was less serious than the other films were, and that's more of what they were looking for. So they thought it was a step down from Rocky 2. Even they thought Rocky 2 wasn't that great anyway because it got a 76% from critics, but on Rotten Tomatoes. But I thought the film was a little bit of a step up from Rocky 2. I like Rocky 2 and the first one when I like Rocky, but a little bit of the drama just got a little bit old at times, and the fight wasn't. Rocky 2 had a great fight, but the drama, it's not, it was still effective, but it was the same sort of stuff we saw in Rocky. And Rocky 3 was like, we'll give you a fun fight, but we'll also give you some other stuff that you haven't seen before from this franchise, which is nice to see. It wasn't a lot of the same. It was something different. Um, which is why I do think the film is a little bit better than Rocky and Rocky 2. I know a lot of people don't agree with that, but that's just my personal opinion. Um, and this is where the term "go for it" came from. Not Rocky 5. It's when before the final fight, before the rematch between Clubber and Rocky, and Clubber's like, "I'm gonna bust you up. Go for it." That was badass. Like that was better than anything, and that was better than the line exchange in Rocky 5 for me. But that's just me personally. God, Rocky 5 sucks. I don't like that movie. Um, but what's interesting about the film is John G. Avildsen was actually approached to direct it, but he turned it down. Uh, which I thought was interesting. He turned down directing the film. Another fun thing about it is that according to an interview by Mr. T, he attended the movie's premiere with his mother, and during the scene where he yells lurid remarks at Adrian, his mother turned to him and said, "I did not raise you to talk to a lady like that." And then she just stormed out of the theater. And that's the kind of fun behind the scenes stuff that's totally missing from this Blu-ray set. Totally missing from this set. Absolutely missing from this set. That kind of fun stuff on this Rocky 3 Blu-ray. Nothing. There's nothing. DVD had nothing. I think there's like a behind the scenes documentary, but it's like only on YouTube for some reason. I mean, yes, you have the Rocky story or the Rocky saga, and you have some little featurettes on this set, but it doesn't really. It doesn't give it. Still, to this day, MGM and Sony or Fox, because for some reason Fox is their name is all over this for some reason. Why the hell does why does the 20th Century Fox logo show up before Rocky? That makes no sense. Because when you pop the Blu-rays in, you see 20th Century Fox Home Entertainment, which is just like, I don't get this. Why the hell is Fox have all the same thing happened with RoboCop, but I'm getting off topic there. But really, Rocky 3, yeah, some people don't like it, but a lot of people like this movie, and there's no Survivor music video, even though it doesn't have any footage from the movie. Um, there wasn't the behind the scenes documentary for the back in the day. No new interviews with Mr. T. No interviews with Apollo Creed himself. Carl Weathers about the film. Nothing. No new interviews with Stallone. No audio commentary with Stallone. Nothing. Why is it that these films have no features except for Rocky and Rocky Balboa? That's it. There's no features for Rocky 3. There's no features for Rocky 4. There's no features for Rocky 2. It's just fucking laziness, and it's annoying. And these Blu-rays, picture quality is pretty good. I'll give it that. Sound is good as well. But I mean, the design is pretty lazy. Rocky looks good. Okay, the normal Rocky font and an iconic Rocky photo. Rocky 2, that's fucking lazy. Rocky 3, it's not even the right fonts. It just looks lazy. Rocky 4, Rocky 5. Even Rocky Balboa is fucking lazy looking. The bonus disc. I don't even have the cover art on there. I mean, I don't even like the fact that it was in this lazy case anyway. Could you just like give me separate discs, separate cases? I mean, it's the Rocky franchise. You think you'd give a little bit more thought and care into it. And the menu screen is terrible. Oh, it isn't just a photo from the film. And it doesn't even say Rocky 3. It doesn't say, it's just a photo, and then it has like play, scene selections, and like audio setup. It doesn't even have the trailer. So this is like, I just had to go on a little tangent like that because that's frustrating to me. I'm a huge fan of Rocky 3, and it just has this shitty menu, and then no features, and then it's just frustrating. Not even an interview with Hulk Hogan, nothing. Nothing, nothing, absolutely jack shit. And there's plenty of other movies that suck that don't deserve special features. But I'm sure Grudge Match has features, but Rocky 3 has nothing. But anyway, yeah, I really don't know what to say about Rocky 3. I mean, it's Rocky 3. I mean, it's a movie that a lot of people know about, they've seen. They either love or they hate or think it's okay. However you feel about the film, I'm okay with that. But Rocky 3's always been one of my favorites. I really enjoy this film. I think it's a very fun, entertaining sequel. I think it's underrated in the aspect that it isn't just rehashing old material from the other films in the franchise. It brings us new stuff, builds up Apollo's character, builds up the friendship between Apollo and Rocky. It has good sequences with him and with Rocky and his wife Adrian. Builds up that relationship. It One relationship ends with Mickey because he passes away, but another begins with Apollo. You have a villain. You have a fighter in Clubber Lang who is just vicious and unrelenting, and that was nice to see. And it was a nice change of pace. And he was a very intimidating villain. I never really was intimidated by Apollo. Uh, Except for Rocky 2, I was more intimidated by him than in the first film. But I mean, Clubber Lang is a guy who'll knock you in tomorrow. Like he'll just knock your block off, and he's just ferocious and doesn't really give a shit type mentality, which is very intimidating. Um, and you can see why Mr. T would go on to have future success with the A Team and other projects after this movie because he definitely had a presence. And it was the first time Rocky faced somebody other than Apollo, so that also makes it stand out. But at the same time, Apollo is still a part of the franchise, and they did it in a really nice, clever way. So I really don't know what to say about the film, except if it was a rate out of 5 stars. Like I said, I don't have any problems with the movie. Direction is good, cinematography is good, editing is good, performances are good, the writing is good. Um, Rocky 3 is a classic for me. Anyway, thank you for watching my review of Rocky 3, and I will see you guys later. See ya.